So I feel like he's with the ops, but that's cool. I'm like, whatever. Rachel, what have you been doing with your time lately? You used to be a DJ, right? Are you still,
That's
do you
right.
still consider yourself a DJ or?
I don't know that you can ever like stop being a DJ. I mean, you see this, right?
Yes, I do. Uh-huh.
But currently I mean, it's sort of impossible.
Yeah, it's COVID, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I flipped it, right? So I've taken everything that I know about DJing, the DJ hustle, the online promotion that comes with, hustling, and flipped it into helping entrepreneurs grow their social media tribes. Because
Mm.
you and I both know about filling an empty dance floor, right? We know how to
Yes.
get people into a room, onto the floor, acting, moving their bodies, feeling something,
Mm-hmm.
giving them what they know that they want, but then serving them what they need before they know that they need it.
Right.
That.
Right.
So
Yes.
I'm teaching this, but in the context of social media marketing, and it
Okay.
works.
Okay. Wonderful.
Hmm.
So, Rachel formerly was known as DJ Lil Ray,
Hmm.
and you are from Atlanta originally, or you just lived here for a while, or how
I
did
lived
that?
there for a while. Yeah, so I'm actually back in my hometown in South Florida, but I moved to Atlanta for college. Stayed, started a nonprofit, stayed some more, went to more school. So I spent 10 years in Atlanta before I went to New York.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw some pictures when you were running your nonprofit. It had to do with bicycles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, can
Yeah.
you can you tell me more about the nonprofit? I saw that you had John Lewis there. So what was he doing there that day? R.I.P. to John Lewis.
I know,
I
God.
know. I know.
So I helped co-found this nonprofit pay what you want bicycle repair shop. It's called Sopo Bikes. And that was me and a bunch of friends and really the wider community because we were all riding bikes. We were all activists at the time. 9/11 had happened. So we were out there marching and protesting downtown because we were like not for the war on terror. So
Mhm.
we were like those kids on bikes with the posters that said no blood for oil. That was us.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So at a certain point we were doing so much marching against what can we create, like can we create something and be for something, like what can we contribute.
Right.
So there were so many of us riding bikes, and Atlanta was not a bike town at that time. It was like 2003 at that point, and we rode bikes, but it was not a bike town. It's not what it is today. So we were like, how can we do something about that? Well, if we get a shop and we get some tools and we share them, we can help each other fix our bikes. We can get donated bikes and give them to people, and it works beautifully. We started out in our house in Reynoldstown, then we got a shop space in East Atlanta behind the strip, out like on the park. So we opened up into the parking lot back there,
Right.
just like kind of took over the parking lot,
Right.
just fixing bikes, and like everybody came out. It was a party, and it was like a real cross section of Atlanta, so it was a beautiful thing.
Okay. That's awesome. So John Lewis, how did he happen to
Oh,
come
right.
across here?
Right. That was the big question.
Yeah.
So John Lewis was our congressman, and we stayed politically active, and I went to like East Atlanta Business Association meetings. So I was like meeting with all the other heads of businesses, and Natalie Archibong was always there. We always had like city council reps. Like I worked with Kwanzaa Hall on a project. I threw a dance party at 5 Point Station when they threatened to cut MARTA service on Fridays. It was called Ride MARTA Day.
Okay.
So we were really politically active in sort of like this community project kind of way. So we got to know John Lewis was so accessible. Like so many of our friends I've been seeing in this last week since he passed, everybody's got a picture with him. Like the man
Right.
was everywhere. And
Hmm.
so we just I don't know exactly what happened. I just know that we were very active and maintained relationships with our representatives, and one day he rode through and it was so magical.
Hmm. So how important do you think that it is for people to, remain close with the representatives in their cities?
Yeah, 100%, because that's where we actually have the most leverage as people who like the government's supposed to work for us. They're our employees, right? And we just let they muscle their way in, but that's a whole other conversation. But where do we have access and where do we have influence? It's on the local level. And not only that, like you don't have to be that old to run for office. President's 35, but school board, city council, all sorts of local positions,
Mhm.
young people can run for those positions. So like my
Mhm.
13-year-old, she's on TikTok, right? So she keeps me up on what's happening on TikTok. And I know they
Okay.
jammed like President Trump's app or something. They're down ranking this app, but it like brought it up to number 2 in the app store because they all had to download it to leave a bad review. So I'm having this like kind of conversation with her about, okay, how do you guys leverage social media to influence politics? And I'm just waiting for some like TikTok influencers to start running for local office and like getting the rest of the youth to get behind them.
Mhm.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. And then people don't even understand that it's simple as going and sitting in at a chamber of commerce meeting in your city. You know,
Hmm.
registering your business with the on the website for the chamber of commerce. It's just like simple things that people don't even think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
exactly. It's so
mm.
much more accessible than you would think.
Okay. So then after you left Atlanta, you moved to New York
Hmm.
and you did your DJ. Because I've met you at Hireland Ballroom
Right.
when Speaker Fox came out, and I was supporting her. It was like her first time DJing out. And I think it might have been one of your first gigs, early gigs too, right?
Yeah,
At that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I remember the only thing I remember from that night is somebody came up and requested Modest Mouse, and
Is that what
Nylan,
happened?
yeah, Nylan was like, I want to punch
I
that guy in the face.
just remember all 3 of us screaming at some guy, that poor
Yeah, that's
guy,
what.
me, you, and Speaker Fox, screaming at him. I don't remember. I would be so scared.
Yeah, you should be, even though we were skinny and short and everything like that. We were fiery, girl.
Yes.
So New York, how did everything go with the DJing in New York?
Really good. So when I started DJing in Atlanta, it was a side gig, right? Because
Okay.
I realized all my friends were DJs. I was lurking in DJ booths at MJQ and literally everywhere. I'd be hanging out with, friends at Elmere playing records and whatever. And everybody at the time was playing vinyl for the most part,
We
still,
were.
even though Serato
Mhm.
was a thing. But people are still carrying around crates of records and
Well,
and
to be honest with you, the reason why a lot of us were still carrying vinyl around even when Serato came out was because it was expensive and we had
right.
to like save to be able to afford it.
It's true. It's true. I actually started on Torque. Do you remember? It was an M Audio product. It was like
Okay. I don't
way
remember Torque. I
right
remember
because it came.
Vinyl Scratch. I remember Vinyl Scratch, but I don't remember
Hmm.
Torque. Tell me about
Yeah, it was an M Audio like Serato knockoff that was way cheaper.
Oh, okay.
So I
Okay.
had that, right, and I just wow. I was always DJing like house parties, especially at the Sampson Street lofts. Like I was constantly just like playlists, like just playing songs off my computer, just
We
straight
had
off my
some really
computer.
good parties at Samson Street Loft,
Yeah,
especially Halloween back in the
hell
day in the
yeah.
2000s. It was
Uh-huh.
like pretty
It was
fun.
the best.
Yes, it was.
So
So,
yeah,
when did you meet your husband? Were you in New York or were you in Florida when you guys met?
in New York. So he
Okay,
had
and
been
he was a
he
DJ in New York.
so he
Okay.
comes from like the San Francisco Filipino DJ scene of like, Qbert era. Like
Okay.
that's his world where he comes from.
Okay.
And then made his way to New York and established himself at a bar called Sutra.
Okay.
So that
In
was
New York, I've
like
heard of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that club, super super important, just like clubhouse for OGs, and like I met and saw so many legends there just hanging out. It was unbelievable. So yeah, he was the resident there on Fridays and Saturdays, and I don't know, like I think I rode through one time and like we saw each other or whatever and at some point like exchanged numbers and just kind of like lurked on each other.
I got you. So I got a question. The picture
uh,
that you posted the other day on Facebook, were you? Did you guys DJ your own wedding, or how? What
yeah.
was going? Okay.
Yeah. So we brought, I think, did we bring 6 turntables? I don't know if we brought all 6. We definitely had 4. So our friend Mike Schwab, Extraction Jackson, he held it down for the most part. But me and Rob jumped on there and some other friends too. So it turned into, a little
Okay.
bit of a DJ battle wedding.
That's funny. So what's your husband's DJ name again?
Rob
Rob.
Flo.
Rob Flo. Now,
Rob.
does Rob Flo still do gigs down there, or how's everything been going down there? I mean, well, pre-COVID, was he still doing gigs? Or?
He's doing a lot more music production and working on TV and film placements.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, I like to
Yeah.
hear, people's stories and everything. Yeah, I've still been doing gigs here or there, but I did a lot of like virtual gigs, but really just like focusing on my radio show and everything has been like the big thing for me and the big money maker with like sponsorships and stuff like that. So it's been really good. And need I actually need a consultation. So maybe we could do that for this interview. Give me a little consultation because I post in my Facebook group. I think you might be in there, but I would like to add more people and do more stuff like with my Facebook group. So
Yeah.
tell me exactly how you got into this whole Facebook group and the graphics were really adorable, by the way. I really, really like the graphic. It's like amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, so tell me about it.
Okay, so it's sort of accidental.
Okay.
I launched a coaching business, right? Like being an online coach is like a thing, right? So I launched a business last October and the concept didn't really have legs, but I started a Facebook group because that's what you do. And then I just kept working at it and learned how to really run a Facebook group. And once I figured out that like the ins and outs, like the technical side, and put that with everything that I know about community organizing from the bike shop and what I know about building an audience from DJing, I was like, oh my God, I actually have something here. If I put this all together, this is a method that's unique to me. And so I put it out there and people have been signing up to work with me. So I have people that I coach on it. And then I have business owners who I consult with. So I give them strategy and I do some of the work for them. So I kind of have my hands in both places, and I'm working on a paid membership version of my group. So you get more of me, but you're kind of working at your own pace, but I'm there in a supportive kind of role for you.
Let me ask you this. So Facebook, they just launched something where you could do the paid membership with your group, right? Is that something new that they did?
Well, the way people usually run it is they'll have kind of like a third party payment system, and then you can control like who's coming in to your group.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how that's working. Okay.
That's how that works.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds really exciting. How long have you been doing this whole consulting and coaching business for?
Since March. It's really not been that long, but it like escalated quickly.
I see that. So if anybody wanted to follow you on social media, how would they be able to find you?
You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn too, Rachel Spiewak.
Spiewak. I said your name wrong. I'm so awful.
It's okay. I'm pretty sure we're saying it wrong too because it's technically Polish. So
okay. That's funny. Okay, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so Rachel Spiewak, and you spell that Spiewak, just for anybody that doesn't know. And Rachel is spelled a little bit differently too. It's Rachael. Yep. But you can go through my friends list on Facebook and find her and add her. And LinkedIn, do you have any tips for people on LinkedIn?
Yeah, be yourself. Stop being so corporate. Nobody likes that.
I agree with that. I agree with that too. And what's the best advice that you could give somebody for opening a new Facebook group?
Know who it's for and what the point of being in it is. And if you're not really quite sure, take your best guess and keep trying to uncover more and more who the group is for, because it's about them. It's not about you, right? You can put you in the branding. You can establish your position by running this dope group. But at the end of the day, the group is not about you. It's about them.
Okay, that's some great advice. Well, thank you for stopping through Rude Girls Talk. I'm glad that we got to talk about some business and everything like that, and I really appreciate it. So what do you think about the whole presidential election thing with Kanye? That I'm going to ask you about one gossipy thing. What do you think about what's going on?
One gossipy thing? Poor Kanye. Like,
I know.
He's going through it. There's definitely some mental health stuff going on there, so
I know.
I'm a fan, man, and I can't cancel him because I think that, I've struggled with things, so I think he's going through it. So I hope he's got people who are gonna, take care of him.
Yes, let's hope that for sure. And I mean, it just adds to the more juicy presidential campaign. I mean, it couldn't even get any messier at this point. And then boom, here comes Kanye. Like, let's make it messier.
Right.
Poor
Yeah.
guy. So let's pray for Kanye,
Pray for
and everybody
Kanye.
make sure that you add and follow Rachel Spiewak. I'm going to say it right this time
You
on
got it.
Facebook and LinkedIn.